I think this is finally done. What's going on, YouTube? Wanted to finally do a video on the most recent changes I've done to my Dart Zone Pro Mark 1.1. So when I was using this blaster, it wasn't really getting the ranges that I was hoping for, especially for a blaster that you expect to get really good ranges in. So I decided, you know what, I was going to, at some point, replace the barrel, upgrade the spring, and I have done all that. And I found another thing as well while going through this. But let's go through the updates. So this is the stock spring. I went and got a turf spring that is inside here, and obviously that's going to give it a lot more power that you want. And I decided to also upgrade or replace the barrel, the aluminum barrel, which this comes in, and put in a brass 17/32 barrel. The problem, if you are familiar with this setup, is that the dart gate that's in here does not fit, or will not fit, a 17/32 brass barrel. It is too small. I did hear that there is a worker retaliator dart gate that fits in here and can fit the 17/32 barrel. So I bought that, but found that the hole is now too big for the brass barrel. So, you know, just kind of walking through the process, trying to figure it out, I decided to print out some parts. So you can see here, the dart gate is clear, so this is a worker barrel. And I will, obviously I don't want to take this apart anymore because it's crazy just how much it takes to get inside. I will post some pictures of everything I'm talking about that you'll see. So in here, I've got my brass barrel. It is free floating, but there is this printed part here. And this basically has enough of a spacer on it that it slides in and will fit inside the barrel, or inside the dart gate. There is this spacer here, which will slot into this part here and basically fit up. So this barrel basically is just stuck in. This printed part is just fitted on there. There's no glue or anything, and this was kind of a pain to test and get on and just get all the measurements, but it works great. Inside the dart gate, the pusher is actually a little bit small, so the O-ring actually won't seal into this retaliator worker dart gate. So I had to buy a new O-ring, and I'll put a closer picture, but this is the size that I have. Fits great in there. It actually gives it a nice little lip. There's a little lip inside the gate that this pushes into, seals it up great. There was another small issue where the pusher was inside of the gate, so I had to also print out a small ring, essentially like a fatter O-ring that fits inside. So when this comes together, it's basically like this, and that will help seal up everything. And I did have to wrap this in some Teflon tape just because it's plastic, you know, the air escaped through it. So did the couple wraps of Teflon tape, fitted this inside the dart gate, and so now the pusher actually rests just a little bit on the lip here. It doesn't actually push inside the barrel, so there's a tiny bit of space, but that O-ring on the pusher basically just makes sure that all the air now travels all the way through here, and this is completely airtight, which is awesome. The other thing I found out was when I did all of this, I was still getting just low numbers. I finally bought a chronograph and I was testing it out. I was so excited because I was hearing, you know, above 200 FPS and blah, 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 and I was getting nothing. So the only thing I could think of is that the plunger rod and in there has a terrible seal. And so basically I fitted this thing all up together. I put this in here, and as I was blowing air down the barrel, I moved the plunger rod essentially back, and I could hear all the air going, and I slowly let it forward, and I could still hear all the air that I was pushing through escape until it went all the way, until it was all the way forward when it completely sealed. And so, and that when I had tested before, you don't really test moving the plunger tube or the plunger rod forward and backwards. It's usually, in the forward position. It was completely sealed, so I didn't think there was anything wrong until I moved air through it, moving the plunger rod, which was when I found out that, unfortunately, I'm going to have to open this thing up. And, if you've heard reports or read or seen videos about people trying to open up and get into the plunger rod, yes, it is absolutely crazy. It was a little bit of a nightmare. There are now stress marks on the plastic, which, just kind of irks my OCD-ness. But similar to the ring on the end here, there are these tabs. And what I did was I took an X-Acto knife and I trimmed the edges so that essentially you can now pop it off. I didn't want, obviously, because it's the plunger tube assembly, I didn't want to just make it kind of just easily escape, but I did it enough so that I could open it the one time. I put so many, there were actually a lot of wraps of Teflon tape that I put under the O-ring for the plunger. It probably would be better to just have replaced the O-ring itself with something a lot thicker. But I think it was like 2-3 o'clock in the morning and I wasn't going anywhere, and Teflon tape is, readily available. So luckily that was fixed, everything together, and I am hitting about 240 to 260 FPS on this blaster consistently. And the nice thing was I used chewed up darts, I used bent darts. I kind of, just made sure that they weren't fresh darts, so that I knew that if I was just popping this in or, using field darts, anything else, that this can perform as I would expect it to perform, and it does. So all of that said, because the plunger tube was the issue, I kept thinking, was this barrel necessary? Could I have left it alone? And, the answer is probably so. If I hadn't done all of these changes, I could have probably left it stock and it still would have performed about, 200, maybe 180. The nice thing is that, obviously this is a new dart gate, so I still have the stock one available. All of this, it can be completely removed and I can put in all the stock parts again, and there it is. Obviously I can put in the stock spring if I need it as well. But, I definitely want to run this for a little bit. Whether or not I'll be able to, that's another story. But so glad that, something like this is available. And, I still may take the stock dart gate and see what it would take to be able to fit a 17/32 brass rod in there. I do like having it this way, though, just because this is so much easier. I don't have to drill, cut, sand into this one that would somehow affect it or basically make it unusable if I messed up. And true to what I love doing, since this is all kind of mechanically fit up, it can be completely removed and I can put it back to stock if needed. So those were the close-up pics. The other thing that I tried to do and look for is a scar barrel. I've been hearing a lot about those and just really haven't had a blaster to use it on. I know this is black, this is 3D printed. It's all I had in my printer. I have some orange on order so that I can print it in a correct color. But testing this out seemed really fun. It definitely reduced the performance of the blaster, but it seemed that the darts were a little bit more accurate. I obviously still have to do a test, and I made a small target that I will show in another quick video to test it out. But this is definitely an interesting 3D print. I know that they have string scars. I wanted to see what 3D printed scars will do. And so the final upgrades to my 1.1, hopefully there won't be any more brass barrel, upgraded spring, spacer, which keeps this as a short dart blaster, but also reduces the prime length. There is a safety delete in here, and it also, the safety delete removes the trigger slop so that the instant you pull back, it's firing the blaster, and there's not that little kind of like wibbly wobbly junk movement in the trigger. So I think I got it all. Obviously the optional scar barrel, but thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.